Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing another Disney classic. This time it's for Aladdin, directed by John Musker and Ron Clemits, who previously did The Little Mermaid. And this movie is about Aladdin, a street rat that falls in love with a princess named Jasmine and wants to be with her. The only problem is that he is a street rat that lives in the streets, and she's a princess that lives in a fancy palace. But then he finds a magic lamp with the genie inside and grants his wish to becoming a prince, while the evil sorcerer Jafar is suspicious about him and wants the palace for himself. This is another classic Disney film that I loved watching as a kid. I watched it a lot on VHS and later on watched it more on DVD from the Platinum Edition. I would look at some of the special features that Platinum Edition would have, just like I would with some of the other Disney films I had on DVD. It's a movie that people love to quote over the years. It's something that a lot of people love to listen to the songs from, and it later got a Broadway show. This is another classic from the Disney Renaissance era from the 90s, and as you can probably tell with some of the Disney films I have reviewed so far from that era, the Renaissance era is my favorite era of Disney. Sure, some of the older Disney films from the 60s or the 50s or even the 40s had movies like Pinocchio or Sleeping Beauty, and the 2010s will also have movies like Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen and Zootopia, which I love all of those films, but this Renaissance era for Disney is my personal favorite because it's the one I grew up on. It has some of the best films that we still love to talk about. They have some great songs over the years. Sure, there are a couple I don't love more than others from this era, but for the most part, this era is my favorite era of Disney movies. And just like with my other reviews, I'm not gonna let my nostalgia get the best of me for this review. I'm gonna be looking at this as a movie from beginning to end, see what holds up and what doesn't hold up. Now, first off, this is the typical story about a boy meets girl and wants to fall in love with the girl and win her heart, where he has to keep lying the entire time just to be with her, and when he keeps lying the whole way, it would lead to some terrible moments that would happen to that character later in the film, and he would think of some way to redeem himself. Now, we've seen that trope done before, but they do it differently here, where we learn that both Aladdin and Jasmine feel like that they're trapped in their own lives that they don't really enjoy, where both of them feel trapped in the stuff that they're stuck doing and they want to break out of that. And they're the kind of couple where you do understand where they're coming from and you want them to be together. Like Aladdin is supposed to be the street rat that also has a heart of gold and cares about other people around him, where yes, he does love being rich and he wants to be that way, but he also does care about other people around him, where Jasmine is a bit of a rebellious princess where she doesn't like to marry any other sultan that she's forced to be married to because she's not the type of princess that's a prize to be won. She doesn't want to be seen that way, and when she unfortunately has to deal with that, she doesn't feel like she's free to make her own decisions in her life. And of course, when the two eventually meet and start to talk about their problems, you start to see that romance blossom. Now let's talk about the humor, because this is one of the funniest Disney films I have seen, where the humor comes from either the side characters or from the visual gags in the animation, where you would see those visual gags and they don't ruin the pacing or the scene, they just add some more levity to the story and to some of the humor. And of course with some of the side characters themselves, like Abu, who is usually there to be Aladdin's sidekick and to just steal some jewels, or the magic carpet that would do some visual gags itself, which is also kind of the precursor to Doctor Strange's cape in the MCU, where it would just move around for comedic purposes just like the carpet, and it would feel like a character just like the carpet, and it would be there to help the characters in a terrible situation just like the carpet from Aladdin. But of course, the best comic relief in this film, and the one that takes the spotlight the most, is the Genie himself, having some great lines that are hilarious and have a lot of improv all done from Robin Williams' performance, and every line that comes out of him is pure gold. He brings a lot of fast-paced energy and charisma to the character, he makes him funny, and he brings a lot of the best humor from both his jokes and from some of his transformations as well. And he would often do a lot of pop culture references with his transformations that are surprisingly not dated. They don't ruin the film itself, and that shows that the Genie is one of the only only Disney characters that you can't imagine anyone else playing the character besides Robin Williams, and can never be duplicated. Robin Williams, rest in peace. You are phenomenal as the Genie. And then there's the main villain of the film, Jafar, who manipulates people to get what he wants by hypnotizing them, while also wearing disguises to trick other people to help him get what he's looking for, like the lamp. Now, I am, of course, gonna get into spoilers, which if you're one of the people that haven't seen this movie, which I doubt there's that many, but I am gonna get into spoilers relating to Jafar, and that's your warning. But then after he eventually steals the lamp and has control of the Genie, he gets powers for himself and takes over the palace, making him more of a menacing villain than before, where he's not messing around, he's not using fake tricks, he's using real magic to show that he's doing everything for himself, making him another great Disney villain from the Disney Renaissance era. And this era had a lot of great Disney villains, like Scar from The Lion King, or Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, Ursula from The Little Mermaid, or Judge Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Like, this era has had a lot of great Disney villains from that time, and Jafar is definitely one of them. Now let's talk about the animation, which, by the way, this is also one of the most colorful Disney films that I've ever seen. Like, there are so many colors that are just moving around throughout the film, and sometimes they would use those colors to mix with the story, and when both of those colors mix together, they end up making some of the best animation from the 90s, where this is still one of the best animated films where when you look at the animation, you are still in awe of what you're seeing. And they would even use CG animation for some parts, like with the Cave of Wonders or some of the action sequences that would later happen, where when you see the CG animation, it blends well with the 2D animation. It doesn't look out of place, it just feels like it belongs in this type of animation. And they would also make some of the action sequences or chase scenes feel and look intense, like the scene where Aladdin, Abu, and the carpet are trying to get out of the cave while lava is chasing them. Now let's talk about the songs, which, just like The Little Mermaid, are done by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, and also have Tim Rice involved later on after Howard Ashman sadly passed away. They were still working on the songs during the process of making this film, but when Howard Ashman got HIV, he only did a couple of songs for the film and tragically passed away, and they had to continue doing the songs without him, where he did some songs like Prince Ali or Arabian Nights and Friend Like Me, which are actually some of my favorite songs in the whole movie, and another song called Proud of Your Boy, which is a sad song but unfortunately didn't make it into the film, but you can find it in the special features for either the Blu-ray or on YouTube. But those three songs that are in the film, Arabian Nights, Friend Like Me, and Prince Ali, are some of my favorite songs from the film. And of course there are other great songs that both Alan Menken and Tim Rice later did, like One Jump Ahead, and of course have done the song A Whole New World, which is a great romance song, and how both of them feel like they're embracing the stuff that they have now that they're together. And just like with the other films I reviewed before, this is still a great Disney film, and the only issue I may have with this film is that there are some parts in the finale that do feel a little rushed, like showing more of what happens to the characters during this finale and how one character can go from one place to the other that quick, or how everything quickly comes together for this big finale, which is a great finale, but there are just some parts that feel like they were just rushed to it. But besides that, Aladdin is still one of my favorite Disney films. I loved it as a kid, and I loved it as an adult now that I understand it more, which is also a fun thing about watching some films that you love as a kid, and sometimes when you rewatch a film as an adult that you love as a kid, it would end up being terrible now, but when you would watch a film that you love as a kid and you watch it now as an adult, sometimes you still love it the way you did, and maybe even more. Now, of course, this is a must-watch for a lot of Disney fans. There is no denying that. It is that good. I'm gonna give Aladdin an A. So guys, if you have seen Aladdin, what do you think about it? Do you think it's a great Disney film and holds up, or do you think that this film doesn't hold up? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.